Thank you very much. We now proceed to Congresswoman Kathy Manning of North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a constituent in my district whose daughter, an American who was living in Israel, was killed by a Palestinian terrorist. Every month, this grief-stricken father calls me to ask why that terrorist's family continues to get money for the devastating crime he committed. And those calls are a searing reminder to me that the PA's appalling policy of rewarding the families of terrorists is reprehensible. It should be condemned by all, and it must be stopped. When deadly terrorist acts are rewarded with money, it encourages more terrorism and makes peace harder to achieve. The Taylor Force Act rightly ensures that our assistance does not directly benefit the PA until they end this brutal practice once and for all, or rather, it should ensure that. Each of you have weighed in on whether the U.S. is in compliance with Taylor Force, and there's some disagreement among the three of you. So I'd like to ask those of you who said that the U.S. is in compliance the follow-up question. If the U.S. is in compliance with the Taylor Force Act, and if it's actually doing what it was intended to do, Dr. Koplow, do you think it's in doing what it was intended to do?
Thank you, Congresswoman. The Palestinian Authority, of course, has not complied with the requirements in the Taylor Force Act. It is why the United States is still not providing any assistance that directly benefits the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority budget comes effectively from three sources. One of those three sources is foreign assistance. That source of support for the Palestinian Authority has been under severe threat since the Taylor Force Act was passed. It is not only the result of the Taylor Force Act directly, it's also a result of the fact that after Congress in its wisdom passed the Taylor Force Act, the Israeli Knesset passed companion legislation that is not identical but similar to Taylor Force. In addition, countries in the region have also ceased their support for the Palestinian Authority. I believe that no country in the region has given direct support to the Palestinian Authority. Some reports say 2019. I've heard from Israeli officials since 2017. But obviously, Taylor Force had an important demonstration effect as well on other countries. The Palestinian Authority is undergoing severe fiscal crisis as a result. I think that the pressure needs to be maintained on the Palestinian Authority, and I think that the more that that pressure is felt, the closer we will get to the Palestinian Authority ending this awful practice and hopefully instituting a different system that is not based on rewarding terror.
Dr. Schanzer, would you agree with that?
I would largely agree with it. I don't think I take any exception to any one sentence. I just do think that the issue right now is how do we up that pressure further? And I don't know if there is a way to do it with the current system that we have devised, primarily because the Palestinian Authority is more than willing to pay the pain forward to its own people. In other words, that budget that Dr. Koplow just mentioned that continues to constrict because of America cutting its assistance, the Palestinian Authority will just essentially deprive its own people. What I've suggested here, based on what conversations that I've had with Israelis and others who are very familiar with this dynamic, they suggest the implementation of a social security program that would begin to provide a safety net for all destitute Palestinians, people who are in need, and cut this other program entirely. You could have people who are in jail or the families of those who are in jail receiving the same amounts as any other family in the West Bank. That would, I think, be an equalizer, if you will, and that would be the way, at least one would hope, we could cut pay for slay entirely.
Thank you. Mr. Abrams, I want to turn to the malign influence of Iran, which we know is growing in the region. What can we be doing to cut off the flow of resources from Iran to terrorist groups like Hamas and PIJ in the West Bank and in Gaza?
I think it's very important that we work as closely as possible with Jordan. It used to be the case not too many years ago that you never heard about money or guns crossing over from Jordan, but you do now. I don't think it's probably a lack of effort on the Jordanian part, but it's happening. So I think we should be having conversations with them and the Israelis about how to do better at sealing that border.
What changed? Why were they effective previously, but there's more leakage of resources and weapons now through Jordan?
It may just be a much greater Iranian and Hezbollah effort. And maybe the Jordanians haven't sort of reacted by raising their effort.
Thank you. My time is about to expire. I yield back.